Welcome back to Sovereign AI Podcast. In our first episode, we look at the global momentum around sovereign AI. Today, we bring it closer to home to the UK. To explore this, I'm joined by Max Beverton-Palmer, Head of Public Policy UK at NVIDIA. Max, welcome. To start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your role at NVIDIA?
So I've been at NVIDIA for a couple of years now, and I've worked in tech policy for about almost 20 years now. So looking at this kind of intersection of society and technological innovation, which is right at the heart of what I do at NVIDIA. So I look after the relationships with the big public policy questions that NVIDIA might be dealing with in the UK. How do you build an AI infrastructure that works for the country? And how do you kind of achieve the economic growth and scientific progress that the government has set out to achieve?
The concept sovereign AI has been put forward by NVIDIA and has taken the world by storm. From your perspective, what exactly the term sovereign AI means and what does it mean to NVIDIA?
So for me, sovereign AI is all about optimism about your country's ability to harness the technological revolution and to be at the forefront of what tech can offer your citizens, society, business, and researchers. So sovereign AI is about building the kind of fundamental infrastructure of AI, building the companies that are going to transform your country, and building the skills and talent capital within your citizens and your AI developers. And so that's what NVIDIA cares about, really. It cares about training up the AI developers of the future, giving them the technology and the computers, essentially, that enable them to do their best work. And we've really focused on sovereign AI in the UK and making sure that UK researchers, UK AI developers can do their best work at the best pace that serves the country and everybody in it.
What do we see in terms of innovation and progress in the UK right now?
So this is a great moment to actually have a conversation in the UK about sovereign AI. In July, we saw the launch of Isambard AI in Bristol. It's the UK's fastest AI supercomputer, which has about 5,500 NVIDIA superchips inside it. And what this is already doing is giving the capacity for UK scientists and researchers across the country to do amazing projects to kind of train models of the future, but also there's capacity available in that system for commercializable research for British companies and startups to do some research. So it's a really exciting moment. And what does that mean for businesses? It means about building AI models and systems that will be able to transform their businesses and doing that work in the UK. And so that work has positive externalities across the UK ecosystem.
What do you think is the real barrier that needs to be overcome?
So there's no doubt there's a kind of investment challenge here. If you want the country to be an AI maker and not an AI taker, which was the Prime Minister's language when he launched the AI Opportunities Plan in January, the country needs the infrastructure, the skills, and the companies to deliver that mission. So one of the main barriers to kind of sovereign AI in the UK is simply giving the AI researchers, the AI developers, the AI companies, the computers they need to do their work and at sufficient scale that the UK can really lead globally. And it's a tricky challenge, and part of it is just kind of getting going with it. Really, it's about kind of investing. There's some great research that's coming out of Switzerland about when you put a big computing cluster together with research institutions, you can create kind of positive economic and regional growth for that area. Basically, you kind of get, we see this as a bit of a flywheel. So you get more infrastructure coming in that then gives more tools and more capacity to researchers doing their work. They can do their work even faster. They can do things they couldn't really do before on these new supercomputers. Then that's transformational change that they're producing, but it's also potentially new and exciting startups that can bring jobs and bring investment into the country.
What's unique about UK's path going forward when it comes to sovereign AI?
There's not one way to do AI, and actually the best way to think about an AI workload is trying to fit your infrastructure, your skills, your applications to the job that you're trying to do. And so what I think the UK is doing good at is it has a kind of mixed approach. So it's looking at a range of different options for compute, but looking at AI across the economy as well, from providing access on education, providing the tools in the kind of public sector, a world-class AI security institute as well, looking at the researching around the challenges of safety. I guess it's easy to say the government should do everything, but if you're going to kind of lead a lot of your optimistic technology agenda, then you do need to kind of think about how the country can kind of play a leading role, at least some areas, and be a part of that whole ecosystem. We have in the UK probably the best researchers in the world. I think we definitely have the best universities in the world if you look at various different academic rankings. But we don't have the top AI companies and startups. We have great AI companies and startups, but the challenge is, how do you build those AI champions? How do you kind of create that momentum to get that research and to get those fundamental ingredients into something that leads to much, much bigger benefits? The challenge that the government has to face, and what we all face as a country, is about how do you create that environment to deliver those game-changing innovations? How do you open up access to data in the country? You open up kind of operational capabilities in different systems and services, not just in the public sector, but more broadly in enterprise, that enable people to innovate with AI. And what we would say as NVIDIA is that AI developers are the kind of lifeblood of the AI economy. These are the people who can train models, who can build applications, and can take very domain-specific data and turn it into something that is useful for a specific application or service. The innovation we've seen since 2022 with ChatGPT, with Google Gemini, etc., all these chatbots, it's fantastic and it's transformational. But we can't forget about domain-specific AI. Some great UK companies like Basecamp Research as well, doing drug discovery, Humanoid doing robotics, and there's some great financial services companies as well. They're taking very specific data.
What could be the early signal that this orchestration, this UK strategy, is actually working?
So I'm probably going to divide that into 3 areas, I think. Let's start with, I've talked a bit about it, science and research. So the first kind of early signal of, or what we might call an early indicator of future success for the UK, would be that university students, master's students, PhDs, are able to produce papers and research that is backed by kind of computational infrastructure that they couldn't do before. So just increasing scale of outputs of researchers backed by kind of AI infrastructure, I think is an early indicator. I'd say, secondly, UK startups staying in the UK and making active decisions to stay in the UK, whether that's because of talent availability through access to finance and capital, or access to high quality compute infrastructure. I think we'd see numbers of those. And then finally, I think we'd want to see in the kind of public sector some new innovations around public sector transformation that really people feel. And they feel it as a benefit. So I like to use the analogy of the kind of self-checkout at a supermarket. So it's a bit of technological innovation that maybe enhances productivity, but do people find it a bit annoying, and do they see necessarily the benefit over a person? No. So we don't really want to be aiming for kind of self-serve checkouts. What we want to be aiming for is a better experience in public services.
How do we make sure that UK leadership in sovereign AI delivers public's trust besides technological progress?
So I think public trust is found in whether a system works and whether it's not perceived as harmful to a person. I think if you kind of direct it straight down to actually fundamentally what's the person's experience of a service, I'd like to an individual user of a service, because that's how people want and fundamentally feel trust. Like, is their data secure? Are they system actually kind of is working? And if you think about where we in our day-to-day lives interact, you've got to be confident. You've got to be confident in the technology, but confident in the person supplying the technology as well. So this is much more fundamentals about public service public service delivery. I think it's tied to that. So you've got to make sure that the people who are using it in the NHS or using it in HMRC really have the best and fast kind of systems available to them, and then it enhances their work so they can deliver better service. Trust for me when I'm dealing with HMRC is to the system that works, that I can kind of access all different elements of kind of tax system that's integrated, that understands and help me solve problems. I think we've done a government digital services over the last decade and a half has done amazing things about reforming the public sector, and taking that next level with AI is how we'll create that trust in those systems.
Attitude survey after attitude surveys around the world, including in the UK, signals that there is a high level of mistrust in AI. What's your view on that?
Well, yes, there's lots of surveys that illustrate a lack of trust in AI. What we've done, we work with lots of businesses to help them deploy models, lots of models that NVIDIA makes available on its architecture. And we produce this thing called a model card, which is a set of a kind of recipe card, essentially, of how the model was trained, where it was trained, data sets, its application, risks and security. So kind of key transparency elements. So for our part in the value chain, trustworthy AI is really important on very elements of kind of data and trust and security. We work to give the tools to the people who are developing AI, to the businesses using some of the models we provide access to give them the security to explain to their end users what's going on. And I think it's a responsibility of the whole industry continue to do that, to kind of continue to explain as well.
Why sovereign AI is important for the UK citizen?
We want to produce UK companies, UK AI companies, that are going to deliver economic growth, deliver high quality, well-paying jobs, deliver positive externalities across the economy. And you can do that with sovereign AI. Fundamentally, what do we want? We want jobs and investment in the UK, and sovereign AI is a good way of achieving. Sovereign AI to us means the skills and development and talent capital in the UK, the education that enables people to build AI in the UK, as much as it does about building infrastructure. And then finally, it's a kind of about doing things in a sovereign British way. So there's a great bit of research coming out of UCL on doing work on Isambard that we've collaborated with, called it's a British language model called Brit LLM. And it's super interesting because it's I think one of the world's first models that natively speaks Welsh and can include Gaelic as well. And so these are very specific British elements of AI that maybe haven't been developed in the past. And even if you don't speak Welsh, well, we all know that one of the big problems with talking to people over the Atlantic in America is a kind of, we have the same language, but we don't necessarily always have the same meaning. And British language is different, and so actually having AI models that use more colloquialisms that feel more real and connected to people is a kind of benefit of building sovereign AI development. You kind of get a chance to add in that about your culture, about your society. AI is all about translating your culture, your history and society into technology that.
Looking generally in a year ahead, what's next for sovereign AI in UK?
So the government's got its AI research resource program, where it's trying to improve the computing capacity of the country by 20 times. It's an amazing ambition, and I think we'll hopefully start to see some kind of deployments from that. Start seeing some research, more and more research outputs from Isambard AI and integration with kind of public services, some innovative models that will do some cool stuff in the NHS. It's just amazing to think what people who had no access to the kind of resource or the kind of reasoning that you need to work through building a business, etc. And now can just in a few moments get a kind of ChatGPT or another kind of model to help them build those businesses. So in NVIDIA, we're kind of keen to like support these next generation of like AI native companies, so to help them accelerate what they're doing to get them going. So I'm excited about the potential in the UK, and I think this is a big bet the government is taking. I really want to be kind of optimistic about the potential of the UK to both harness opportunities and to kind of take on the risks as well.
Thank you so much for joining me today.